Greetings, boys, ghouls, and non-biased scaries. Welcome to the Spooptober Pastathon for 2020. Alright, you
Fuck
done? Can I have the
everything.
mic back? Sure. Thank you. Alright. As the weird... I'm not entirely sure what the fuck he is. It's like some sort of weird skeletal spider thing with a face. Anyway, as he said, 2020 Spooptober Pastathon. Woo. This time we're going to be looking at some classic creepypastas. Starting with the Russian Sleep Experiment, which Ichi-Tan here, Ichigo Koneko, has never read apparently. I haven't read this in years. But, we can't just always do terrible creepypastas. Sometimes we gotta celebrate the things that, did things right. Or at least I vaguely remember them doing things right.
Now, keep in mind, I have heard of it, I just have not read it. Because prior to joining you on this lovely crusade of podcasting, I really never read any kind of creepy pasta game, whatever the fuck pastas you want to call them. Because I just am weird, apparently.
Yeah. Which there will be a link to this so that you can read along in the description. I don't know who the author is. It straight up states that the author is unknown, so this was likely posted to like one of those early creepypasta message boards, like anonymously or some shit.
Yes. Anon.
So long as a Q is not involved, everything's good. Doomsday cult. Anyway.
I mean, you're not wrong.
No, it's the same with fucking Flat Earth. It's a doomsday cult.
Straight up.
But yeah. Russian sleep experiment. Let's get started on this. Russian researchers in the late 1940s kept 5 people awake for 15 days using experimental gas-based stimulant. They were kept in a sealed environment to carefully monitor their oxygen intake so the gas didn't kill them, since it was toxic in high concentrations. This was before closed-circuit cameras, so they only had microphones and 5-inch thick glass porthole-sized windows in the chamber to monitor them. The chamber was stocked with books, cots to sleep on but no bedding, running water and toilet, and enough dried food to last all 5 for over a month. Nowadays, you don't even need the gas-based stimulant. You just need like a couple packs of fucking Monster. Of course, your kidneys will fucking explode, but...
Yeah. Or you'll just have hella kidney stones. Ugh.
Yeah, right
Seems
there.
me. I am still joking on burp.
Well.
I see. The test subjects were political prisoners deemed enemies of the state during World War II. Yes.
I mean, what else are you going to do science on?
Apparently your own citizens is not allowed anymore. I mean.
Well, it's 1940, so I don't think Stalin was... Wait, when was Stalin in charge? I'm pretty sure Stalin would have used his own...
yeah, no,
his own citizens.
I think Stalin was like... Oh, God, that's a good question. When was Stalin?
Joseph Stalin... he died in 53. Years of service. Whoa.
Oh, yeah, he was...
41 to 53. So, no, this would have been Stalin time.
Yeah, he said that it says that he ruled from the mid-20s till his death in 53. So yeah, no, that was Stalin's. Oh God.
Stalin time.
Oh God. Oh God. Ew. I tabbed back over to the to the story.
Did you see the weird thing?
The fucking weird ass video that showed all the images.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, no, fuck that.
I have that paused.
Yeah. I clicked out of that straight up. I was like,
actually, I have the ad paused. I'm guessing it's just a flat reading of it. Or did it say behind the... Wait, no. I think it said behind the scenes.
Yeah, it said behind the scenes, and
I
was
guess
like...
history of it?
I was like, screw that, I'm clicking out of it, because then it also tried to show me where I could apparently buy the creepy thing I saw's costume on Amazon, and I'm like, oh, yeah. So I just closed that little ad thingy. I was like, I don't need that in my life.
Have that on. Walk into the club like, what up? I got a big cock. I still need to get that shirt that's like walk into the club like, what up? Oh my god, I'm so sorry, wrong building. Please continue with your funeral. God bless.
Yes.
It's terrible, but I love it. Yeah. Stalin time with his weird shriveled hand. And killing of like fucking 6 million of his own citizens. Anyway, everything was fine for the first 5 days. Subjects hardly complained, having been promised falsely that they would be free if they submitted to the test and did not sleep for 30 days. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, that's just that's pretty sus.
I'm pretty sure I saw the Russian government, the Soviet Union venting. Still that fucking deal, you motherfucker. Anyway, their conversations and activities were monitored, and it was noted that they continued to talk about increasingly traumatic incidents in their past. And the general note of their conversation took on a darker aspect after the 4-day mark. Yeah, sleep deprivation will do that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I just don't think I'm worthy of love.
I can straight up say that I have subjected myself to sleep deprivation quite a few times being a cosplayer, just con crunching like crazy.
Yeah.
And
I don't think I've ever gone like, I'll go 2 days straight without sleep, but I don't think I've ever gone more than that.
I think my current record con crunching no sleep was about 2-3 days, but like just not con crunching. One time during the summer when I was like still in school and everything, like I think it was high school maybe.
Yeah.
I went like a whole week without sleeping, and I scared the shit out of my grandparents.
That's not healthy.
Yeah.
Because usually I'll go 2 days and then I'll just pass out and like in the middle of the second day is like I fucking need a nap.
I was in the middle of a very severe manic depressive episode. So
Ooh.
I like no matter what I did, I could not sleep. Like I almost like it got to the point where I almost tried to like overdose on NyQuil just so I could sleep. It was bad.
Hell. Yeah, that sounds like it.
It was bad. Don't recommend.
Have this sea slug to help.
Thanks.
Anyway, your line.
Is it already my line?
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
I finished mine with the 4-day mark.
Sorry. After 5 days, they started to complain about the circumstances and events that led them to where they were and started to demonstrate severe paranoia. Yeah, sounds about right. They stopped talking to each other and began alternately whispering into the microphones and to the one-way mirrored portholes. Oddly, they all seemed to think they could win the trust of the experimenters by turning over the comrades of the other subjects in captivity with them. At first, the researchers suspected this was the effect of a gas itself.
Yeah, like unintended side effects. I can understand that being the thought. After 9 days, the first of them started screaming. He ran the length of the chamber, repeatedly yelling at the top of his lungs for 3 straight hours. He continued attempting to scream, but was only able to produce occasional squeaks. My throat hurts now.
Mm.
The researchers postulated that he had physically torn his vocal cords. Ow! Ow!
It's very possible.
Yeah. The most surprising thing about this behavior is how the other captives reacted, or rather didn't react to it. I don't know, maybe they just dissociating in the corner. I know I can get that way. There's someone screams. It's like, just sitting off somewhere, just fucking zoning out as someone's screaming like mad. They continued whispering to the microphones until the second of the captives started to scream. The two non-screaming captives took the books apart, smeared page after page with their own feces, and pasted them calmly over the glass portholes. Screaming promptly stopped.
Oh.
That's,
So did the whispering to the microphones.
After 3 more days passed, the researchers checked the microphones hourly to make sure they were working, since they thought it impossible that no sound could be coming with 5 people inside. The oxygen consumption in the chamber indicated that all 5 must still be alive. In fact, it was the amount of oxygen 5 people would consume at a very heavy level of strenuous exercise. On the morning of the 14th day, the researchers did something that they would not do to get a reaction from the captives. That they said they would not do to get a reaction from the captives. They used the intercom inside of the chamber, hoping to provoke any response from the captives they were afraid were either dead or vegetables.
They announced, "We are opening the chamber to test the microphones. Step away from the door and lie flat on the floor, or you will be shot. Compliance will earn one of you your immediate freedom."
To their surprise, they heard a single phrase in a calm voiced response. We no longer want to be freed.
Ooh.
I will say, this is interesting, because it's not quite giving me the spine tingles, you know?
Yeah. But at the same time, it's like, what you mean you don't want to be freed? What's going on here?
I don't know if it's just the fact, like, I don't know if this is hitting you harder than it's hitting me. It might just be that I'm more familiar with it, but...
I don't know, I'm just kind of like, eh.
So, like, I can understand, like, this was one of the early ones, so I think it's kind of like a similar thing of how, like, Lovecraft's work doesn't hit me, because it's like early stuff in a genre, while it does tend to, like, lay the framework for the genre after, it also kind of just is the easiest to predict.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is.
Could be.
Anyway.
So.
Debate broke.
Yep. Debate broke out among the researchers and the military forces funding the research. Unable to provoke any more response using the intercom, it was finally decided to open the chamber at midnight on the 15th day. This seems like a terrible idea.
I guess that's one word for it. The chamber was flushed of the stimulant gas and filled with fresh air, and immediately voices from the microphone began to object. 3 different voices began begging, as if pleading for the life of loved ones to turn the gas back on. The chamber was opened, and soldiers sent in to retrieve the test subjects. They began to scream louder than ever, and so did the soldiers when they saw what was inside. 4 of the 5 subjects were still alive, although no one could rightly call the state that any of them in life. As the grammar? The state that any of them in. Is this just from when this was transferred over, like, did they not copy paste, but instead just, like, type the thing out, or? There was also the whole thing, a single phrase in a calm voice response. Is this like a transfer thing that caused, like, the grammar to be like that, or is that just how it was originally?
It could be that's just how it was originally.
Okay.
Oh, ew.
What? Oh, did you start to read ahead?
No, I like to kind of scroll over what I'm reading real quick to make sure, like, I don't have any flubs, and ew. Anyways,
yeah.
The food rations passed day 5 had not been so much as touched. There were chunks of meat from the dead test subject's thighs and chest stuffed into the drain in the center of the chamber, blocking the drain and allowing 4 inches of water to accumulate on the floor.
Ew.
Yeah. Precisely how
Stan.
much of the water on the floor was actually blood was never determined. All 4 surviving test subjects also had large portions of muscle and skin torn away from their bodies. The destruction of flesh and exposed bones on their fingertips indicated the wounds were inflicted by hand, not with teeth, as the researchers initially thought. Closer examination of the position and angles of the wounds indicated that most, if not all of them, were self-inflicted.
I mean, yeah, that's a bit gross. Like, ew. Let's see. The abdominal muscles below the rib cage, abdominal organs, not abdominal muscles, of all 4 test subjects had been removed. While the heart, lungs, and diaphragm remained in place, the skin and most of the muscles attached to the ribs had been ripped off, exposing the lungs through the rib cage. All the blood vessels and organs remained intact. They had just been taken out and laid on the floor, fanning out around the eviscerated but still living bodies of the subjects. The digestive tract of all 4 could be seen to be working, digesting food. It quickly became apparent what they were digesting was their own flesh that they had ripped off or eaten over the course of days. Yeah, I'm less scared and more just grossed out.
Yeah. It seems more like they're trying to pull a shock, more of like a gross, this is gross shock factor than a, oh my god, this is scary gross shock factor.
I think part of it is also like the format of it. Because again, I think I've stated this before, but what a good creepypasta does is that it tends to draw you in. Like it feels like an actual post that someone is making online. You know?
Yeah.
The structure of this one lends itself more to I'd almost say more like something that you'd expect in like a collection of short stories.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah.
So I think that's part of it. Like my brain's in that creepypasta mindset of like expecting something that feels like it was like written by someone who's like, hey, this weird fucking thing just happened to me. But
Yeah.
instead it's this.
Yeah.
So it's not that intimacy that good creepypasta has.
Yeah.
Is the best way I can describe it.
Oh yeah. Let's see here. Most of the soldiers were Russian special operatives at the facility, but still many refused to return to the chamber to remove the test subjects. They continued to scream to be left in the chamber and alternately begged and demanded that the gas be turned back on, lest they fall asleep.
My brain's just like, back then we're Russian operatives having to do that whole thing of like, you're in a room that's like knee deep filled with like fucking blood and pig viscera and we're going to release a whole bunch of angry dogs and you have to get out before they rip you to shreds.
Ew.
That's a thing.
Why is that a thing? That's disgusting.
Because the KGB is fucking insane. Literally, it's just like, you're in the room, you have to get across to a staircase on the other side that leads to a door, but about halfway across, a door opens up and just releases some fucking, like, aggressive-ass guard dogs. It's just like, why? I think it's KGB. I don't think it's German Special Ops. Anyway... To everyone's surprise, the test subjects put up a fierce fight in the process of being removed from the chamber. One of the Russian soldiers died from having his throat ripped out. I guess not very good armoring back in 1940.
Yummy.
Another was tasty. Now I'm thinking of fucking Blade, where there's just that scene where like Wesley Snipes rips out a vampire's throat and throws it at another vampire. I don't know if anyone remembers that, but that happened. Am I audible?
Yep.
Okay. Also, in the third one, there's a whole thing of, like, the closing scene was, like, him on an autopsy table, about to be, like, opened up by, like, some, like, what's the word I'm looking for? The people who do autopsies on, like, the dead bodies.
Mortician?
I guess mortician. I don't know.
I think that's
But
coroner.
the whole thing, coroner, yeah. But the whole thing with the scene was like, all right when they're about to cut you, you need to open your eyes. I refuse. Wait, what? I refuse. And so they literally had to CGI his eyes opening. I kid you not.
What movie was that?
Blade 3.
Oh.
Because Wesley Snipes was apparently impossible to work with on that movie. Anyway, another one was gravely injured by having his testicles ripped off.
Oh.
Just went straight for the nuts. And an artery in his leg severed by one of the subject's teeth.
Excuse me, what?
Apparently he got his nuts bitten off. Ow. Seriously, babe, what have I told you about using teeth?
Right.
Yeah, like that one feels like it's just supposed to be shock value. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, I'm sorry if we're low energy for this. I'm pretty sure both of us are rather tired.
It's also just one of those that seem very interesting.
Yeah, I'll say that. Another 5 of the soldiers lost their lives if you count ones that committed suicide in the weeks following the incident.
Let's see here. Alright. In the struggle, one of the 4 living subjects had his spleen ruptured, and he bled out almost immediately. The medical researchers
the spleen.
Medical researchers attempted to sedate him, but this proved impossible. He was injected with more than 10 times the human dose of morphine derivative and still fought like a cornered animal, breaking the ribs and arm of one doctor. When the heart was seen to beat for a full 2 minutes after he had bled out to the point there was more air in his vascular system than blood, even after it stopped, he continued to scream and flail for another 3 minutes, struggling to attack anyone in reach and just repeating the word more over and over, weaker and weaker, until he finally fell silent.
Spleen. The surviving 3 test subjects were heavily restrained and moved to a medical facility. The 2 with intact vocal cords continuously begged for the gas, demanding to be kept awake.
The most injured of the 3 was taken to the only surgical operating room that the facility had. In the process of preparing the subject to have his organs placed back within his body, it was found that he was effectively immune to the sedative they had given him to prepare for surgery. He fought furiously against his restraints when the anesthetic gas was brought out to put him under. He managed to tear most of the way through a 4-inch wide leather strap on one wrist, and even through the weight of a 200-pound soldier holding that wrist as well. It
would have broken.
Yeah. It took only a little more anesthetic than normal to put him under. And the instant that his eyelids fluttered and closed, his heart stopped. The autopsy of the test subject, in the autopsy of that test subject, that died on the operating table, it was found that his blood had tripled the normal level of oxygen. His muscles were still attached to the skeleton, were badly torn, and he had broken 9 bones in his struggle to not be subdued.
Oh, okay, so I guess he did break something.
Most of them were from the force his own muscles had exerted on them. Huh.
Okay, but how did his wrist not break?
I don't know. It's weird.
That's the one that's bugging me. Like,
Also, the way this is phrased is like giving me troubles reading.
Yeah. It's not quite analytical enough for me to like be given the feeling that this is supposed to be like one of the researchers like journals or some shit like that, or like
Yeah.
I, it's that weird, like it's written just right to kind of take me out of it.
Yeah.
Like my suspension of disbelief isn't really being a fucking. I mean, my disbelief isn't being suspended. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
The second survivor had been the first of the group of the 5 to start screaming. His vocal cords destroyed, he was unable to beg or object to surgery, and he only reacted by shaking his head violently in disapproval when the anesthetic gas was brought near him. He shook his head yes when someone suggested, reluctantly, that they try surgery without anesthetic. He did not react for the entire 6-hour procedure of replacing his abdominal organs and attempting to cover them with what remained of his skin. I don't think there's going to be enough. I'm going to say it now.
Yeah, no, like, what I also don't understand about all this is, like, I get the whole trying to continue the test that you're running, but if, like, they're literally in this state, it's just better to fucking, like, scrap the experiment, kill them, and, like, start over.
Or at very least, maybe not put them back together, but at very least keep them alive as long as possible to see, like, you know, to study them while they're alive. Yeah?
Yeah. So.
There's one of those whole things, like, this is the era in which people were sewing the upper bodies of, like, smaller dogs onto bigger dogs to see how long they could get them to live.
Yeah, sure.
Like, putting them back together just seems kind of weird. I think it's partly because, like, that was the era when so much fucked up shit was being done in the name of, like, science. And it's like, all these people are like, oh, this is horrific.
Yeah.
Like, this is the era in which, like, they were fucking having kids, like, hold on to, like, fucking electrified, like, metal to see how long the human body could take it.
Yeah.
I don't know. The surgeon presiding stated repeatedly that it should not be medically possible for the patient to still be alive. One terrified nurse assisting the surgery stated that she had seen the patient's mouth curl into a smile several times whenever his eyes met hers. Edgy.
The edgiest edgelord.
Edge.
When the surgery ended, the subject looked at the surgeon and began to wheeze loudly, attempting to talk while struggling. Assuming that this must be something of drastic importance, the surgeon had a pen and pad fetched so the patient could write his message. It was simple. Keep cutting. Mm-hmm.
The other 2 test subjects were given the same surgery, both without anesthetic as well, although they had to be injected with a paralytic for the duration of the operation. The surgeon found it impossible to perform the operation while the patients laughed continuously. Once paralyzed, the subjects could only follow the attending researchers with their eyes. The paralytic cleared their system in an abnormally short period of time, and they were soon trying to escape their bonds. The moment they could speak again, they were again asking for the stimulant gas. The researchers tried asking why they had injured themselves, why they had ripped out their own guts, and why they were wanting to be given the gas again.
Only one response was given. I must remain awake.
Ooh. All 3 subjects' restraints were reinforced, and they were placed into the chamber, awaiting determination as to what would be done with them. The researchers, facing the wrath of the military's benefactors for having failed to the stated goals of their projects, considered euthanizing the surviving subjects. Wait, what was the goal of this?
Yeah, like, why put them back together if you're gonna, like, euthanize, like I said you should have done?
Well, it was like, we failed to reach the stated goals. What were your goals? I thought it was just to see what would happen.
Who the fuck knows?
Like, I thought it was just to see what would happen. How would you fail your goals if this is the case? What? What happens when we force people to stay awake for long periods? Well, apparently they just fucking eviscerate themselves. Alright, we're not gonna do that. Like, I don't think you failed what you were going for. The commanding officer, an ex-KGB, instead saw potential and wanted to see what would happen if they were put back on the gas. The researchers strongly objected, but were overruled.
Of course. In preparation for being sealed in the chamber again, the subjects were connected to an EEG monitor and had the restraints padded for long-term confinement. To everyone's surprise, all three stopped struggling the moment it was let slip that they were going back on the gas. It was obvious at this point all three were putting up a great struggle to stay awake. One of the subjects that could speak was humming loudly and continuously. The mute subject was straining his legs against the leather bonds with all of his might, first left, then right, then left again for something to focus on. The remaining subject was holding his head off his pillow and blinking rapidly. Having been the first to be wired for the EEG, most of the researchers were monitoring his brain waves in surprise. They were normal most of the times, but sometimes flatlined inexplicably. It looked as if he were repeatedly suffering brain death before returning to normal. As they focused on the paper scrolling out of the brainwave monitor, only one nurse saw his eyes slip shut the moment his head hit the pillow. His brainwaves immediately changed to that of a deep sleep, and then flatlined for the last time as his heart simultaneously stopped.
Okay, I will say that paragraph's not bad in my opinion.
Yeah.
The whole thing of the description of them doing different things to keep themselves awake. That's not bad.
Yeah.
As well as like the whole thing of like, I guess I'm less crazy about like suddenly flatlining and then returning to normal. I don't know. But
Yeah.
other than that part, that's the only remaining subject that could speak. Started screaming to be sealed in now. His brainwaves showed the same flat lines as the one who had just died from falling asleep. I guess it's a microsleep thing.
Hmm.
The commander gave the order to seal the chamber with both subjects inside, as well as 3 researchers. One of the named 3 immediately drew his gun and shot the commander point blank between the eyes, then turned the gun on the mute subject and blew his brains out as well. Okay, buddy. You there? Did I fuck? I. Doop doop doop
What?
doop doop.
What?
Okay.
Did you not hear me or something?
Hello?
Hello?
Is it Cat?
What?
Did you hear me finish my line or no?
Yes.
Okay.
And then you interrupted me as I was trying to do mine.
I didn't hear you. I couldn't hear you.
Rude. Anyways. He pointed his gun at the remaining subject, still restrained to a bed as the remaining members of the medical and research team had fled the room. I won't be locked in these things. I won't be locked in here with these things, not with you, he screamed at the man strapped to the table. What are you? He demanded. I must know.
The subject smiled.
Oh, great. Have you forgotten so easily? The subject asked. We are you. We are the madness that lurks within you all, begging to be free at every moment in your deepest animal mind. We are what you hide from in your beds every night. We are what you sedate into silence and paralysis when you go to the nocturnal haven where we cannot tread.
What? Okay. So what? They're the id, the ego, the superego. What are they?
Apparently beings that can only take over if we don't go to sleep. So
I guess.
get your sleep,
Apparently.
kiddos.
I guess. I mean, I get a bit testy whenever I'm not sleeping, but I don't think I start ripping
I
myself
find
apart.
I get more irritable if I haven't been fed over sleep.
I am the animal mind that you sedate when you feed yourself.
Pretty much. Like,
Why is Llytic crawling up the wall? Oh, someone forgot to feed him.
so favorite to feed them.
The subject paused, then aimed at the subject's heart and fired. There's always something that bugs me whenever it's stated that, like, oh, they aim specifically for the heart. I don't know.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I mean, okay, cool, but unless you like aim very precisely or have a strong enough gun, a lot of the times the rib cage is gonna stop the bullet.
Like, you could just say that you shot them in the chest and get the same effect, because it doesn't need to go through the heart to cause a pretty quick death. It just needs to be in that general area, either going through a lung or causing damage to the rib cage that then causes damage to the heart and lungs.
Yep.
Shockwaves.
Ew.
It's the same way as a bullet that doesn't quite go through the skull can still fucking kill you via concussion.
Yep.
I don't know. It's just always one of those things of, like, shot them in the heart. And it's like, it feels try-hardy is the best way I can put it.
Yeah.
The EEG flatlined as the subject weakly choked out, "So nearly free."
Never free.
I guess. Yeah, turns out that the Russian sleep experiment doesn't quite hold. I can understand why back in the day this might have been one of the ones that blew up,
Mm-hmm.
but again, it's like that whole thing with, like, fucking Lovecraft stories. Although, fuck, even, like, I'm not the biggest fan of, like, Lovecraft's work, but even the stories of his that bored me, I kind of enjoy more than this.
Yeah, I mean,
At least, like,
this had sort of like this predictability to it, and then I don't know,
yeah.
again, since this is most likely a reprint of the original story, it just seems like,
Oh yeah, the fucking grammar moments.
yeah, because it's kind of hard to kind of like, I guess, get into something when you're struggling to like read it and make sense of it.
One of the people is like, just suck. I feel like most people don't realize that this is fake. No, it's pretty obviously fake. Some of these comments, I just... Oh, fuck, my sleep paralysis demon. No. Our sleep paralysis demon. Fuck, that one's funny. Comrade moment. Anyway, sorry. I don't know. Like I said, a good creepypasta has this whole thing of, like, because it's an internet campfire story. It's similar to, like, when you're at a camp, when you're telling scary stories at a campfire, and you always start with, like, so this friend of mine told me about this thing that happened. Like, in my opinion, like, a good creepypasta kind of works off of that and does the whole thing of,
Like,
that thing where it feels like you're just telling a story about, like, a weird occurrence that is fucking terrifying.
yeah, it's like the one that like literally it's a trope that's been used so much in like movies, just campfire stories, even some like TV shows. The man with the
But,
hook.
like,
The man with the hook hand. Everybody knows that, but depending on who tells it, the story changes every time, and so it still kind of gets that like ooh factor to it. Like you know who that character is, but every time it's told, it still has that like, oh hey, this is new. But this just didn't have that. It was just kind of like, eh.
Like, there are a few ways to do it. You could have had this set up, like, as if it was a scientific report.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if this was done of, like, day 1, this happened. Day 2, this happens. Day 3, this happens.
That's honestly what I was expecting when you said when you
Yeah,
put the link for this one. I was like, oh, so it's going to be kind of like
yeah,
one of those scientific journal kind of things, and
yeah.
then it was just like,
Like a scientific journal, like that, because that makes it feel more intimate. It's a
yeah,
similar thing. Binge Round. Binge Round is a good example of this. This is it was like early ARG, but the whole thing of it is it was done as a series of blog posts,
ah,
and so it felt like a guy like this is what's been going on, like going through, and then occasionally he'd put in a video of like, yeah, so this happened,
yeah,
but like a good creepypasta has that intimacy of like you do it as like a blog post. The sun disappeared. Or what is it? Like the sun vanished or something like that. That's a currently ongoing thing on Twitter, in which it is a series of like tweets from one guy talking about a whole thing where for some fucking reason the sun has vanished.
yeah.
And it is all that stuff, and it has like that fucking it has that intimacy of like feeling like it's coming from one, like feeling like no, this is a guy just tweeting like this weird shit that's going on and trying to make sense of it. Or fuck that one guy who's that one artist who does like the 4-panel comics, something Tots. uh I forgot his name, but he ended up doing like a little like ARG creepypasta thing on his Twitter for a bit, involving like this ghost of a kid with like partially caved in skull.
Yeah. Oh, God, what's the guy?
Yeah, like
That
Adam
was,
Tots or something like that.
you mean Adam Ellis?
No, like he does like the yeah, Adam Tots is who I'm talking about. The guy who does no, okay, I guess he also goes by Adam Ellis. My immediate thought is like, is that the yeah, that's the right guy. Okay, Adam Ellis. I'm used to the username Adam Tots.
Yeah, I was like, because I know Adam Ellis. He did that. What was that the Dear David?
Dear David, that's what it was. Yeah,
Yeah,
and it was
but
the whole
then
thing of like because of how it was done, it felt like he was just talking about like this weird shit that was happening to him.
yeah, because like he created this whole thing where it was like it was like this fucking like literally it was just this one giant Twitter thread that made it seem so real
Yeah,
until like it wasn't real anymore. But he
yeah,
recently did a new one that he released it in like 4 or 5 installments, and I really really liked it. And
yeah.
it was called Viola Bloom.
Huh.
Hold on, let me see if I can pull it up. So basically what it was kind of again in the style of like kind of what he did with Dear David, but again he did it in more of a comic strip form.
Yeah,
Um so what it was is like it it started, hold on. So I originally found it on Facebook, so I follow him on Facebook. And so it was is it started out and it was called Viola Bloom, and then like the first panel is like he goes, something strange came in the mail last week, and it just goes on to this whole story where like somebody had sent him like this fan mail where it kind of looked like it was like a fan mail, and he was like, okay. And he goes, when I opened it, the only thing inside was like this tattered business card. And again, this is like all drawn out of like his like character that he's made. And so it shows like this business card, and it's like this woman in like Victorian clothes. And it's like Viola Bloom, private caretaker. And he talks about like as he tries to like leave his house, there's this character that was on the or tries to leave his apartment. There's this character that was on the card just like staring up at him. Like he looks out the
yeah,
like he tries to go outside and he's just staring up, and he's like, okay, this is weird. I'm just gonna go back home. And he just sees her staring up at him. And he's like, what the
yeah,
hell? So it goes to this whole comic thing. And then he's like, so finally I did what I thought. He's like, finally, after not being able to leave, police not seeing her, blah, 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 blah. I'm just going to like post on the internet, see if I can find out. And somebody was like, "Oh, you got it. I'm sorry. Hold on." He was like, "I'm sorry this happened. But what was it? Let me see if I can find it. Like the final final panel.
Huh. So apparently, like...
So what it was,
Oh, sorry.
sorry. It goes through this whole thing, and it's just like each part of it, he's like, "Oh man, I can't leave my apartment. She's just there."
Yeah.
And all this stuff like that. Tried calling the police. And then, like, she just keeps getting moves from the street down his apartment hall. And now, like, if he looks out his peephole, she's just there.
Yeah.
And he's like, "I can't leave my apartment. It's been days. You know, I can't even get food. I'm trapped." And oh no, so it says, "Today someone messaged me on Etsy of all places, someone I had sold some merch to a few months back. And it was like, 'I'm sorry, I didn't think it would work. I just wanted her gone. I didn't know who else to send it to. I got your address from the package you sent me. I'm so sorry.'" So feeling more confused than ever, like he messages back and he goes, "What's going on?" And then decided to Google the name on the card. And it says pages and pages how to like care for flowers, da 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 da. And then he finds what looks like this old GeoCity site, and then it's like, "Oh, this one was like a formal medical caretaker and nurse died in like April of 19 something." And then it's got this little thing attached to it, and it says, beneath her obituary was a short rhyme: Viola Bloom, receive her card and meet your doom. For once you gaze upon her face, prepare yourself for death's embrace. It only takes a single glance, you never stood a chance. She'll take your life, she'll eat your heart, then only then will she depart. You cannot run, you cannot hide. She'll never leave until you've died. The only thing that you can do is send her after someone new." And so then the panel ends with him posting a picture, like a real life picture of this card.
Yep.
And I'm like, now that was fucking perfect.
Yeah, I just saw the thing. Honestly, the thing I keep seeing, like, looking at this guy, is that apparently he's one of those people that seems to have been pointlessly singled out by the internet to just, like, give him shit.
Yeah.
And, like, most of it is for really fucking stupid reasons. Like, oh, he was doing daily comics, so of course his art had kind of a samey look to it. Which, fucking course it would. He was doing daily comics. What do you expect?
Yeah.
But, like, and apparently people were trying to dox him back then, which was stupid. I saw one thing, like, "Aren't you the guy that was doing the fake ghost shit online?" It's like, wow, someone's never fucking heard of an ARG.
Yeah, like...
Wow, it's almost as if all fucking supernatural shit online is fake. Aren't you special for pointing it out? Which, that's a whole thing. Just fuck off with that shit. No one fucking...
Like, there's a whole thing on TikTok right now where a lot of people were just straight up, like, somebody posted this photo, and a lot of people, like, a lot of My Hero Academia fans were just kind of being silly and being like, "All right, which one of you motherfuckers manifested Hawks?" Because it was just like this silhouetted profile of like what looked like a man with wings, and where they were saying where it was, and and then fucking like the creepypasta like horror fanatics found it, and they're like, "You fucking idiots, that's Mothman." So now there's whole debate on TikTok whether somebody actually manifested an anime character or if it's Mothman, and I'm just like, yes.
I fucking hate internet discourse, but
it's more of like a playful fight, like everybody's just kind of being silly about it, but at the same time it's just kind of like this is a nice break from the fuckery of life.
I guess I'll leave this off with seriously, what the fuck was with that shit of people making up fake shit about Adam Ellis and trying to fucking dox him? That was fucking stupid. As well as, like, oh, you can't take constructive criticism. You're not being constructive. You're just being a fucking dick.
Right.
But yeah. Like, at least, like, when we're doing this, we're not pretending that this is proper criticism. We're literally just being assholes making jokes and occasionally giving writing advice.
Yes. Yes, straight
We
up.
aren't pretending that we're actually helping people. Anyway. But yeah. Special thank you to Destiny Baird and Summer Moon Soldier for supporting us on Patreon. If you like what we do and like support us in any way, then consider going down to that link in the description and pledging any amount of money you want. Any little bit helps. And if you don't want to give us money, you know, there's usual YouTube bullshit.
YouTube bullshit.
Settle in for Spooptober 2020. Bye-bye.